with or on this evening is the changing face of education in our world today. The changing face of education in our world today. And by a way of introduction, it is important for us to know that education remains one of the greatest tools for transforming individuals, families, society, and even the nation at large. Every generation experiences changes in the way knowledge is acquired, in the way knowledge is shared, and in the way knowledge is applied. And that is why we are talking about phases. When we talk about phases, it means things happen differently at different times. The way education is being perceived or acquired or applied previously perhaps might be different from what is obtainable present and might also be different from what will be obtainable in the nearest future. However, the face of education in our world today appears to be more dynamic. It is more complex and demanding than ever before. Muna magana akan ilimi ne. Kuma mun ce ilimi a ƙurare daban-daban, a ƙungiya daban-daban, a garuruwa daban-daban, a al'umma daban-daban, yana kasancewa yana zuwa da yayi da lokaci. Yadda ilimi yake a lokacin da ya gabata, daban yake da yadda ilimi yake a daidai wannan lokacin. Kuma zai kasance ma daban a nan gaba. So abubuwan da muke son mu duba kuma mu yi la'akari da su kenan a cikin wannan yammacin. Yadda ilimi yake da daban yake da yadda ilimi yake yanzu. Har dai namu na yanzu ya kasance da wuya saboda yanayin da muka tsinci kanmu a ciki a daidai wannan lokacin. Technological advancement, globalization, digital communication, artificial intelligence, social media, economic realities, and shifting societal values have significantly altered the educational scenario today. Many societies are confronted with serious educational concerns, such as declining reading culture, poor access to quality education, learning gaps, unemployment arising from skills mismatch, moral decadence, and limited opportunity for young people. And I want to believe that you all agree with me that in the phase that we are presently, education generally is experiencing some of these challenges that we just mentioned presently. As Christians, this changing phase of education demands careful reflection because education is not merely about acquiring certificates. Before I came up here, Daddy just mentioned that unlike the way we view education before, that before we call someone an educated person, the person had to go to school, acquire certificates, and hold or present a certificate to people before him. Education is taking a different dimension presently. So it's not just about acquiring certificates, but it's about what can you do. Hallelujah. It is also about developing wisdom, character, purpose, and the capacity to contribute meaningfully to society. When you go to the university, you will discover that by the time you are being issued your certificate at the point of graduation, you will say you are awarded degree in character and in learning. So it's not just about going to learn about the discipline that you are pursuing in the university, but it's also about molding or shaping your character to become a better person, to be able to function well in the society in which you are living. So the Bible consistently emphasizes the importance of knowledge, importance of wisdom and understanding, and even discipline and sound instruction. That is why the book of Proverbs in Proverbs 4:7 reminds us that wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. That is according to Proverbs chapter 4, verse 5. This is all to tell us that education wisdom, which is synonymous to education. You get wisdom in the process of acquiring education, you get knowledge, your character is being shaped. It is important. It is fundamental that we get it, we get understanding. Similarly, Hosea 4:6 states that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. These passages reveal that God values learning. Learning is not only for the world. God himself values learning. And that is why the Bible made us to understand that people perish for lack of knowledge. When we don't learn, we live to be destroyed. So learning or knowledge seeking is very, very fundamental, and it's very, very important. Even God values learning, understanding, and intellectual growth. Therefore, while education is changing globally, believers must ensure that moral values, discipline, integrity, and godly wisdom are not lost in the process. This presentation examined the changing face of education in our contemporary world, the opportunities and challenges associated with these changes, and the responsibilities of young people, the responsibilities of their parents, teachers, church leaders, and the society in changing a productive and moral sound education. So muna magana ne akan ilimi, an kuma muka ce ilimi yanzu ya kasance abu mawuyanci a daidai wannan lokacin da muke yanzu. Za ku yarda da ni cewa yadda ake samun ilimi da mu je makaranta, mu ɗauki littafi, mu je library, mu yi karatu, yanzu ilimi ya sauya daga haka nan. Mahi yawancin abubuwan da mutane suke yi yanzu kana ganin cewa duk inda kake za ka iya samun ilimi. Kuma ilimi yana da mahimmanci, amma yadda muka same shi kuma muka yi amfani da shi ya mahimmanci a rayuwanmu. Kuma kasancewar mu masu bi, littafi mai tsarki ma ya nuna mana cewa samun ilimi yana da mahimmanci a rayuwar ɗan adam, da zai iya taimakon ka yi abin da ya kamata daidai yadda ya kamata kuma lokacin da ya kamata, kuma ilimi ne kurin zai iya taimakon ka haka nan. Shi yasa cikin littafin Hosea Sura 4 aya 6, littafi ya ce mana mutanen Ubangiji sun lalace ko saboda rashin ilimi, ko ba haka ba? Yana nuna mana kenan cewa ilimi yana da mahimmanci a rayuwar ɗan adam. Duk inda ilimi yake ya kamata a samu ilimi ko wani iri ne. So understanding the changes or understanding the changing face of education. If we are made to understand that education is very, very important, and even God admonishes us to learn and to be educated and to acquire wisdom and knowledge, it is important for us to understand the changes or the phase in which our present education is in this 21st century. Education previously is largely centered or largely teacher-centered and is classroom-based. We only learn when we go to the classroom in a formal setting, different from the ones we learn at home, which are the informal setting. But for you to be educated, you say go to school, enter the class, and the teacher will stand before students and teach. And it's largely teacher-centered form of education that we do experience. But in this present dispensation, which is the 21st century that we are, we discover that we are being encouraged to emulate or cultivate the habit of having a student-centered kind of classroom discussion. When we come to classes, allow the children or allow the student or allow the pupils to do things themselves. Because it is believed that what you learn or what you do yourself tend to stay longer with you than what you listen to or what you hear someone says. Research has shown that only 20% of what you heard is what you can recall. But whatever it is that you do, it's something that you can recall up to 80% of that which you do yourself. So before now, previously, most of what happened in our educational completely on printed materials such as textbooks, notebooks, and we go to libraries if we want to read. Learning often is rigid in those days. with limited access to information outside the classroom. Everything virtually happens within the four walls of the school. If you want to learn, it's inside the class that the teacher will teach. Outside the classroom, you go to the library, you deal with printed materials. So there is this kind of limitation with more access or adequate access to information as far as learning is concerned. However, the educational system today has undergone remarkable transformation. Technology now plays central role in teaching and learning. Students can attend online classes, conduct research through digital platforms, interact with teachers virtually, and gain access to unlimited information through the internet, which you all agree with me. You can be in Sokoto and you are undergoing a course in another state, and you don't have to go to that place. You can do virtually everything online, and learning takes place, and education is moving. That is the present dispensation in which we find ourselves in this 21st century. And to put it more, the COVID-19 pandemic further accelerated this transformation, as many institutions adapted virtual learning system. This period revealed both the strengths and the weaknesses of modern education system. According to UNESCO 2021, education system worldwide must adapt to rapidly changing technological, economical, and social reality in order to prepare learners for future challenges. So if at this present dispensation, we are still depending on, I have to go to school, I have to go to class, I have to go to library, I have to do this before learning can take place, then we are still far behind schedule, as the case may be, because we have moved, we have shifted from that particular era. We are now in the era where in the comfort of your room, in the comfort of wherever you find yourself, learning can take place. Meaningful learning can take place. And like we have heard, the period of the COVID-19 that we experienced has further brought about how this transformation has taken place. Because you can remember in those period or in those era, schools were closed. People are staying away from each other in order not to contact the pandemic. But learning still continued. People are learning virtually, studies were going on, classes were going on, because that is the present dispensation in which we find ourselves. And UNESCO made us to understand that people must move with the trend for us to be able to face the 21st century global challenges that we are facing presently. Today's education emphasizes that as an individual, as a student, as a learner, we should acquire digital literacy. We should have critical thinking skills. We should be creative and we should be innovative. Learning must be based on problem-solving skills, communication and collaboration, and entrepreneurial activities. These are what education is emphasizing in this 21st century. Wherever you go now, you have your certificate. The next thing you hear is you'll be presented with a system and you're asked to operate it. Are you literate? Are you digital? Are you digitally literate for you to be able to operate a computer? Do you have problem-solving skills? Most of the problems that are being confronted with the 21st century presently demands or requires your ability to be a problem solver. And that is why most of what we are tending towards teaching in this present dispensation is STEM. Anywhere you go, you hear us talk about STEM, because it's not about subject specific anymore. It's about how can I apply what I have learned to be able to solve the problems that are confronting this present dispensation. We have a lot of problems. We have problems that had to do with energy, problems that had to do with global warming, problems that had to do with climate change, a lot of issues. A lot of issues that you need to know how to apply, how can I become a problem solver in this my present dispensation? That is where the world is tending towards. And that is what today's education is emphasizing on. It's not emphasizing on the fact that I'm a mathematician and I should just sit in class, do the calculation and leave everything there. No. But how can I use the knowledge of mathematics and be able to solve problems is where we are facing, is where our education is. That is the phase we are presently. And that is why, like I said, we encourage STEM education. STEM education that brings different disciplines together. And that is why one of the things I have mentioned is communication and collaboration. You collaborate with people from other fields, put your knowledge together, and provide solution to a particular problem that is facing a particular society or community. That is the phase in which our education is presently. And this means that education is no longer limited to memorization of facts, which we are used to, or which our students are used to. You teach, they memorize, you ask exam, and they give it back to you. And ask them next term, or ask them same question next semester. It will shock you to see that the same student that read and crammed and memorized all that you have taught him has virtually completely forgotten everything that you have taught him. Because as far as that student is concerned, it's just for him to be able to read and pass the examination. So education is no longer in that phase. It's not about memorizing what you have learned, but it's about how can I apply what I have learned. Modern education now focuses more on the ability to apply knowledge practically and solve real-life problems, like I've mentioned earlier. The changing phase of education also means that learning can now occur anywhere and anytime. A student in Nigeria can participate in an online course organized in the United States, Europe, or Asia. Knowledge has become more accessible than ever before. Nevertheless, these changes also okay, I can't see the other part of my slide there. These changes also introduce new concerns, especially when technology is misused or when moral values are neglected. No matter how beautiful it is so beautiful for me to be in Nigeria and be able to participate in an online course in the US. It is most beautiful. It has taken away the thought of how do I get visa, how do I get transport to have to transport myself to the US to be able to partake in that online class. But irrespective of how beautiful it is, it also introduces new concern, especially when the technology that have been presented to us is misused or when moral values are neglected. What are some of these positive changes that this phase of education has brought to us today? If we are mentioning that what or how education has been in the past is different from how education is presently, and we have highlighted some of those advantages that this present dispensation has brought to us, which is about technology. Wherever you go, whatever you hear is technology. Technology. There are a lot of debates as to some teachers are still yet to accept the fact that technology have come to stay. And we kept saying, embrace it. It is here to support and not to replace teachers. It is not here to take over teachers. But in as much as it is very, very important, is it misused or is it used the way it is expected to? It has brought positive changes to us. And that is what we'll quickly look at. What are those positive changes has this education in this phase brought to us presently? Muna magana ne akan ilimi. Kuma mun yi magana da dama na cewa yadda ilimi yake da yara za su shiga cikin aji su kasance tare da malam a cikin aji, yanzu ba dole sai an yi haka kamin a iya samun ilimi ba. Yanzu kana iya ganin malam yana nan cikin wurin nan, ƙila ma ba mamaki wannan magana da nake yi wani na can wani wuri yana kallo na a daidai wannan lokaci a yayin magana da nake, kuma yana koyo bisa ga abin da nake faɗa daidai wannan lokaci. To irin yanayin da muka samu kanmu kenan, da kuma irin yadda za mu iya samun ilimi ba dole sai mun bar inda muke ba. In dai muna da wasu abubuwa da za su iya tallafa mana har wannan ilimi ya iya samuwa, za mu iya samun ilimi. Wa'anne abubuwa ne muke magana a kai? Abubuwan sadarwa na na'urori na technology da muke da shi yanzu. Da in ma leta za ka rubuta sai ka rubuta takarda sannan a kai ma wani wuri, amma yanzu za ka iya ɗaga wayanka saboda wannan technology ɗin ka yi magana da wani wanda bai ma ƙasar da kake tare da kai. So ilimi ma ya kai wannan matakin na cewa ba sai ka je cikin aji ka zauna tare da malam za ka iya koyon ilimi ba. Duk inda kake ma ilimi mai iya samuwa ne. Kuma yanayin da muka tsinci kanmu kenan a daidai wannan lokaci, because muna ta magana ne akan yadda ilimi yake da, yadda ilimi yake yanzu, kuma yadda ilimi zai iya kasancewa nan gaba. Mun san cewa da kamin yanzu dole sai dai yara su je makaranta su shiga aji tare da malam a zauna a yi koyo a tashi kuma a wuce gida. Amma yanzu ilimi ya kawo mana wannan lokacin da za mu iya zauna a nan, kuma ina karatu a Kano ko ina karatu a Lagos, kuma karatu na ya kasance ya faru ba da wani tangarɗa ba saboda taimakon technology da muke da shi, ko ba haka ba. Muka ce mu ma matsayinmu na Kiristoci mun lura da cewa ilimi ma ya wuce a yi karatu a iya rubutu. Ilimi ya zama ilimi wanda zai iya taɓa kwada yadda tunaninka yake da yadda ɗabi'unka yake a matsayinka na ɗan adam. Kuma ɗan adam a lokacin da yake karɓar ilimi ko kuma yake samun ilimi ya kamata a ga canji, ba a fannin iya yin karatu da rubutu kaɗai ba, amma hamma a wannan fanni na cewa za a ga sauyi daga ɗabi'un shi da waɗanda ba su kasance ba zuwa ɗabi'u waɗanda ake na'am da su. So maganganun da muke kenan, sai muka ce to a daidai wannan lokacin waɗanne ci gaba ne yanayin iliminmu na yanzu ya kawo mana, kuma abin da muke son mu duba kenan, waɗanne ci gaba ne, waɗanne abubuwan ƙwarai ne da yanayin da muka tsinci kanmu na cewa zan iya kwanta cikin ɗaki na in samu ilimi ya kawo mana. And like I said, we are looking at the positive changes in education. One of the positive changes the present phase of our education has brought to us is increase in access to information. Increase in access to information. One major advantage of modern education is easy access to information. Through digital technology, students can access books, they can access journals, they can access videos, they can access lectures and educational resources online. Unlike before, I have to walk to library to go and get some particular books or journals to be able to read some information or get information on a particular thing or a particular activity. But in the present 21st century that we are now, through digital technology, I can access such information easily just on my fingerprint, using our phones, using our systems and other means virtually. And even library now, we can access library resources online. Even in my institution there, we have digital library where even in the comfort of your home, you don't actually have to come to the physical library for you to be able to access information. You can do that while in the hostel, while in the office, or wherever you are. Digital library is also there, and many other information or many other avenues or resources where you can access information. So one of the positive change that this phase of our education has brought to us is that it's giving us increase in access to information. Whatever it is that is standing as a limitation to us before now, for us to be able to gain access to information, the present phase of education that we are in now has given us that leverage to be able to access information freely, irrespective of what type of information we need. Secondly, there is development of practical skills. Modern education increasingly emphasizes skills acquisition. and entrepreneurship. Employers today seek individuals who possesses practical competencies in addition to academic qualification. Many young people are now learning digital skills, graphic designs, programming, content creation, data analysis, vocational and technical skills, or even communication and leadership skills. These are some of those things that we don't pay attention to before now. But this present dispensation is emphasizing on the development of our critical skills. And that is why even in our educational curriculum now, there is this aspect that have been imputed for students or for pupils to acquire skills, entrepreneurial skills. Because education is no longer about acquisition of certificates. You have the certificate, but what can you do? A story was told. It's not even a story. If you know, what's his name? Jelani. Jelani was granted an interview some times back. And I listened to him say that he has worked with over more than 20 companies of car companies. And he said in his 20 years, over 20 years experience of working with these people, in all his engagement with them, none of them have cared to ask him for his certificate. What they are more interested in is what he can do, his skills. What can he offer? They have not said, okay, Jelani, we learned that you can design cars, where is your certificate that backs that up? What they are interested is the skills that he has and he is ready to give out. And that is very, very, very fundamental. In addition to our qualification, it is good to have a BSc. It is good to have your master's degree. In fact, it is good to have your PhD. But without skill, you are still very, very limited. It is an era where it is what you can do that people are looking for. How can you help to solve your problems? How can you help to solve problems? How can you give your skills? How can you contribute in problem solving? Not holding a first class degree to present that when people talk, you say, do you know the kind of qualification? I have a first class degree. It's not about your first class degree. It is important to have that qualification, but it is more important to also have skills to back that up. And that is why people are engaging in different kind of skills acquisition. Different kind of skills acquisition. It is very, very fundamental. This shift helps prepare learners to employment and self-reliance. When you have skills and you graduate, you have your qualification. You don't wait until you are being employed for you to be able to do something. You use your skills to be self-reliant. Praise the Lord. So this is also one of the positive changes it has brought. Another one is global learning opportunities. Education has become more interconnected globally. Students can participate in international webinar, virtual conferences, online certification, and collaborative projects. This exposure broadens perspective and encourages innovation. When there is collaboration between people here in Nigeria and people in other parts of the world, you will stand to gain a lot. You will stand to know what is happening in other parts of the world that is not happening in the world where you are. It's only collaboration through the help of the technology that is moving the face of this present education can offer us. So let's seize that opportunity. There are a lot of opportunity, there are a lot of collaborations, there are a lot of projects that are being taken from with people here and people elsewhere. And you see people making money because they have been partners with other people that are in other parts of the world to solve problems, to do projects that are helping in developing a particular society. So it helps in that aspect, giving opportunities to people. You learn a lot of things when you cross-match your knowledge with the knowledge of other people in other aspects or in other parts of the world. So it helps, it has brought a positive change in that aspect also. And then flexible learning system. I think I have said this over and over again. For the fact that you can be where you are today and learning takes place and you're able to acquire certificates, you're able to acquire skills in the comfort of your zone, is a learning, flexible learning system. Unlike previous generation, learning today is more flexible. Many people now combine work, business, ministry, and education through online learning platforms. This flexibility has increased opportunity for lifelong education. You are doing your work, you are engaging in business online, you are doing your skills, you go to school as a school teacher, I come back, I do business online. As you see me here, I'm also a businesswoman. So it's part of the things we are talking about. If not business, what can I do? What can I offer? What services can I offer to be able to match up with what I am doing? And it gives us 101 opportunities to do so many things. And it doesn't affect the job that you are doing. You do your job, and you also engage in doing other things because it gives you that ability or avenue to experience that flexibility in learning and even in participating in doing other things. Despite these positive changes, or despite this positive development, several challenges continue to affect education globally. No matter how good something is, you discover that when you look deeper, it also has some challenges. Hallelujah. So what we are facing presently in the present 21st century, it's good, it's beautiful. In fact, if handled properly, it's perfect. It's very, very good. But it's not, like I said, without challenges. And these challenges are affecting the education globally. One of it is decline reading culture. Decline reading culture. One of the major concerns in contemporary society is the decline in reading culture, especially among young people. Many students spend more time on entertainment and social media than on serious learning and intellectual development. Quick digital consumptions have reduced patience for deep reading, critical thinking, and research. Unfortunately, some young people now prefer short social media content to meaningful academic engagement. Let me give us some examples. Before now, we carry our book, we go to school, we read. But in this phase of education that we are now, even in school, so we have discovered that children or students don't want to read anymore. So they don't want to read, they don't want to write, they don't want to do anything, and we want them to learn. So we have reduced the whole thing into, okay, what do we do? Let's merge this note that they should be copying in the classes into a printed material that they don't have to write because they don't want to write anymore. Paste something on the social media. If it is something cultivated and is short, they will put attention there and they will want to read it. But when it is something educative and they scroll, they see that it is long, they will just skip it because they are not patient enough to even read and understand what is happening, even in the social media. So any content, any book you give them and you want them to read, they are very impatient to read it. And because of what we have, it's been presented in video format, it's presented to us, we don't have to write, we don't have to read, we just watch, we just listen. The reading culture is fading away. Students don't want to read anymore. And it's really, really affecting us. In as much as these things are provided for us virtually, maybe video forms to read, there is also a need for us to read. We must not allow reading culture to go away. In as much as, okay, technology is there, or even the technology, let us read. The information is there, but we are not patient to want to read the information. We prefer maybe short minutes or 5 minutes video to watch and laugh and not to read a particular content. I'm also guilty of that sometimes. When I see something online and it's too long, I will just skip it. And that is what most students do presently. And it's affecting our culture, reading culture. And even writing. You discover now that when you want to write letter, people abbreviate even words. We don't write words in full. You want to write you just put the U. You want to write So many things. You just be cutting the words, cutting the words, cutting the words. And when we go for WAEC, we see students writing such words on the WAEC because they are already used to shortcut. Nobody wants to do the long part of it. We don't want to read, we don't want to write, we don't want to, so it's affecting us negatively. And it's as a result of this technology in this present dispensation. Another one is skills mismatch and unemployment. Another major challenge is the gap between education qualification and labor market demands. Many graduates possess certificate but lack practical skills needed in today's economy. This has contributed significantly to unemployment and underemployment. Modern society increasingly requires creativity, adaptability, technological competence, and problem-solving ability. Therefore, education must move beyond theoretical knowledge alone. Theoretical knowledge in the sense that we are very good in the discipline that we are. But how can we apply that our discipline? It's what is very, very important. And that is what is missing in most of the graduates that we have today. We have the certificate, but we don't have the skills. And it's very, very important in the labor market now. Because like I said earlier, it's not about your qualification, but it's about how can you help? What can you do? How can you contribute to the development of the society? And not about how can I carry my paper around. And that is where the issue of memorization has come to play a great role, that we only memorize to write exams and to pass exams. But gone are those days. What we need now is to be able to learn, to able to apply what we have learned. And mostly now there is this mismatch. We have the qualification, but we don't have the skills to match what we are presenting as our qualification. And that is very, very fundamental, very, very fundamental. And it's affecting the present generation badly. Another one is poor access to quality education. In many developing countries, like my country, quality education remains inaccessible to large population due to some factors, such as poverty, inadequate infrastructure, poor funding, shortage of qualified teachers, limited learning materials, and insecurity and conflict, and many other factors. And I believe you quite agree with me, this is another great challenge for education in this our 21st century. There are a lot of areas that poverty has taken over, those areas that you could hardly see anything education moving in those areas. People are looking for what to eat. How can you go and tell someone who is looking for how to survive or how to eat that leave what you are doing or the small avenues you are using to want to go and look for what to eat and go to school? That person will not go to school. The person wants to go to school, but there is no money to pay the school fees of such person. Poverty is eating deep and is affecting access to quality education. Because you believe with me, you will believe me that when I say that poverty is really affecting. If you cannot if you don't have funds to take your child to a good school where he will be given quality education, you know that that person or that child will not have access to quality education. Then insecurity, you will also agree with me, is another factor. A lot of schools have been closed. Children are no longer going to school. And as a result, they lack access to quality education. We have moral and spiritual discipline. It's another serious issue. Corruption, drug abuse have taken over, violence, internet fraud, and so many other things. These are some of the challenges that this technology has come with. We have distraction through technology. You buy phone for your child and say, let me buy phone for you to enable you or assist you in doing school work. Because most of the times my son will come home and say, they have given me an assignment, please borrow me your phone. Let me do that assignment. To be honest with you, he doesn't have phone, no, because I feel it's not even time for him to be holding phone, because I know phone can be a distraction to him. And when I give him for assignment, He will finish the assignment and quickly enter another thing before I come. And that is how phone can distract them. So talk of someone that possesses a phone. Even us adults, sometimes we hold phone to want to go through the phone for 30 minutes, and before you know it, we have spent 2 hours scrolling and doing nothing. So it's also come with this form of distraction to both young people and adults alike. So young people have responsibility to play greatly in ensuring that they have this personal development in this changing educational era. One is develop a strong reading culture. Students, young people, young adults need to develop a strong reading culture, because you have earlier mentioned that reduction in reading culture is affecting us. Then acquire relevant skills, because we need skills now. Use technology responsibly. Maintain godly values, because it's very, very important. Then be purpose driven. Parents also, lastly, have responsibility, which I'll only read the points out. Encourage reading habits. It's very, very important. Let's encourage our wards to always read. Then monitor children's use of technology. If we must give them those technologies to use, then we should find time to monitor what they do with such devices. Support educational development. Teach discipline and moral values. Let's not completely forget our moral obligations on our children, because we are focusing on what is happening now. My son will always say, this is happening, this is doing that. I will say, because everybody is doing it does not make it right too. He will say, I say, yes, because everybody is doing it does not make that thing right. So please, let's not forget to teach them discipline and also moral value. It's our responsibility. Let's create positive learning environments for them and always pray for our children. And most importantly, lead by example. In conclusion, the future of our society will not only depend on the number of schools we build, but on the kind of minds, values, and character we build in people. In the changing world, may we not raise educated people only, but wise people. Not only skilled people, but disciplined people. Not only successful people, but godly people, because that is very important. Our world is changing rapidly, but with sound education, strong values, and God's guidance, this generation can still become a generation of light, leadership, innovation, and positive transformation. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Thank you. Sorry for...
Is already on ground. So the second speaker is here, Apostle of Zion. So I think we'll take that and then we'll take the two questions together. Thank you very much, sir.
Please, let's put our hands together for... I think that our presentation is excellent. She deserves a standing ovation. Let's stand up and put our hands together for her. Thank you very much. All right, praise the Lord. I actually told Professor Momo that we need to pause on the question because of time. And please sit down. Apostle of Zion, well-traveled throughout all in different nations with different experience, having tasted the African Nigeria education and then outside the country, the comparison, bringing a wealth of experience to what the first speaker have spoken. Let's invite the Apostle of Zion this evening. Please, shall we rise and welcome him? Shall we rise? Keep that hands going. Well traveled, just came back again. Thank you. Professor Matazu, I thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. Be seated. Kuzona, Mungodi. Thank you so much for that presentation. And is there a way we can cut out that message and put it online? Is it okay if we put it online? I'm asking a question. Who is answering me? She said it's okay. So can we cut out that message and let it go on? It's not everything only on Jesus that should go online. This one is an educative program and a presentation that should go online. So do I have your word for that? Thank you. Isaiah 28. Isaiah 28. Education is what I want to share on very quickly. Education, Isaiah 28. From verse 23. Isaiah 28 from verse 23. Give ye ear and hear my voice. In education, that's what happens. You hear. Hearken. You have to obey. Hearken and hear my speech. Number one, in education, you hear. Number two, you obey. Number three, you interpret. Hear my speech is interpret. Interpret what I'm saying. Next verse. He's using a farmer because the first profession in the world is farming. So he's teaching us education and he's using a farmer to show the picture. So he says, does the plowman plow all day to sow? Does he open and break the clods of his ground? Open the ground. Next verse. When he had made plain the face thereof, does he not cast abroad the fishes and scatter the cumin and cast in the principal wheat and the appointed barley and the rye in their place? Where he's going to put groundnut, it's not where he's going to put beans. It's not where he's going to put cassava. The way they will plant each of them are very, very different. We learned last year in Senegal that cassava should be planted like 20 degrees to the ground or 30 degrees. Every part of the cassava that touches the ground will develop. So you can plant cassava and have only one root. Somebody else can plant and have 5 roots. Why? It depends on how close they are, your stick is to the ground. He says, so he puts all of them in their place. Verse 26. How does he know how to do that? How did your grandfather know how to? Your grandfather didn't go to university. One of the benefits we are enjoying today in my own family is the effort of my grandfather. And the man didn't go to nursery school. Professor Momo was not available to teach him physics. But that man has left wealth. The wealth he has left behind, we have not finished eating it till tomorrow. Bible says, for his God is the one that is instructing him. So education primarily comes from, they are not answering me. Okay. It is God that instructs him to discretion and doth teach him. Next verse. Let me finish. For the fishes are not threshed with a threshing instrument. So if he harvests dawa, if he harvests cassava, if he harvests tomatoes, he will not treat them the same. Neither is a cartwheel turned upon the cumin, but the fishes are beaten out with a staff. If you have not been to the village, it's just staff. Women will be doing like this, and you are shaking your head. Do you know what I'm talking about? You inside Sokoto here, you have not been to where we are doing the thing. It's a beaten out with a staff, and the cumin with a rod. Yes. Bread corn is bruised. How many of you have seen how they are turning flour? Flour for bread. You hit it, boom. Two people are following me. All these other people, they are beke. You know what your English people, Igbos call beke? Oyinbo person. You don't know culture. You don't know what we are talking about. You have become westernized. You are a beke. Tell your neighbor, say, are you a beke? Okay, he said, bread corn is bruised because he will not ever be threshing it, nor break it with the wheel of his cart, nor bruise it with his horseman. Yes? This also cometh forth from the Lord of hosts. What our grandparents were doing without education, it was God who taught them education. He said, and this God is wonderful in counsel, excellent in walking. What this passage underscores is the capabilities that God put in man. So in Genesis, God created a garden. And then God created man and put the man in the garden and told man to dress it and to keep it. Genesis chapter 2. Dress it and keep it. From verse 7. You can read to verse 15. I show you. Let me read a little of that, because I'm watching my time. Genesis 2. If you are fast, I will wait for your time. Otherwise, thank you. God took the man, put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. Can I ask you a question? Which school did man go to learn agriculture? Is God not joking? God created a garden, God, with his godly wisdom, and put man with his earthly wisdom, and say, oh yeah, continue what I have done. Is man not going to be a failure? So man is automatically a failure. But Isaiah is teaching us that what happened actually is that God is instructing him. Isaiah 28, go back, verse 25. He said, it is his God that is instructing him. Education. It is his God that is instructing him. From verse 24, 25, and then 26. It's a sentence there. Go to verse 26, the last sentence. He said, it is his God. For his God doth instruct him. That means what Adam was able to do following after God was only a product of education. If there was no education, Adam will not be able to follow that pattern. There has never been famine in heaven. There has never been disaster in heaven. Who can tell me one time that there was no food in this world, human beings went to heaven to be begging God for food? None. So the education God taught us, is it working? So education has consequences. That's what Professor has been emphasizing. There are advantages, there are benefits. Okay. With all the problems we have had on earth, we have never gone to God one time to borrow money. Oh God, we are very sorry, things are very hard, please borrow us. We have never. That means what God was teaching us has been working. So any education that is not productive is not education. That's where I'm going. The education in Nigeria is not education. What we are doing here is just joke. That's why in Nigeria, if you graduate as a medical doctor in Nigeria, you cannot practice if you go to London. You have to do fresh exam. Any school you do in Nigeria, when you go there, Engineer Obina is our chairman in Port Harcourt. He is in Canada now. He is a telecoms engineer. They told him when he got to Canada, he has to do fresh exams. Fresh. One of our young men, Tosin, he finished aeronautics. When he got to Canada to do masters, they gave him the key of an aeroplane. They said, go and locate the fuselage of the plane. He was rambling. After rambling for hours, they said, you went to school? Yes. The professor said, where? So since creation, man has been taking instructions and education from God. That means the level of your education determines the sustenance of life. The level of education will determine the quality of life you will live. Our leaders in Nigeria have deceived us. They will tell us that they have to borrow money. Tinubu right now is borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. Nobody has ever borrowed money like Tinubu has borrowed. And he is still ready to borrow more. Now, it's a sign of failure. Because if earth has never gone to heaven to borrow, it's a design that we don't have to borrow if education is properly adjusted. Now, the question I can ask is, who is America borrowing from? Who is China borrowing from? So why must we be the ones borrowing from somebody? If they are borrowing from themselves, they are borrowing from, America is borrowing from America. Do you understand that? So they have the money to borrow themselves. And we are going to borrow, and then we are in trouble. Now, in Genesis chapter 1, God created man. And then in chapter 2, God gave him the instruction to reproduce. And Isaiah now is giving us that secret and say, look, what happened actually was that God was training man. As man was planting and working the field, God was actually, he was going through Department of Agriculture. Now, generations have continued to survive and we have continued to prosper. So whenever the door of knowledge opens, once God opened the door of knowledge, human life is elevated. Was there sun in the time of Adam? Was there solar energy in the time of Adam? Did he use solar energy? So they were living in darkness because that door has not opened. Every time God opens a door of knowledge, people enter. AI is a door of knowledge opened by God. Professor was talking about computer, and we are not afraid of computer. And computer has come and stayed. See, it's computer I'm using to preach to you now. Because this phone too is a mini computer. Actually more expensive than your computer. This phone. I bought it $1,300. How much is your computer? $500. You see? So this phone can actually buy 2 or 3 of your computer. So AI is a door of knowledge. Once God opens the door, human life elevates. There was a time people were only using ship to cross from one country to another. Now they are using jet. Now they can even fly long hours, 13 hours non-stop. 13 hours. I flew one aeroplane. We ate dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner to reach our destination. We flew from here to Japan. I was tired of the plane, tired of the food, tired of everything. Me that was sitting inside. I'm not the one that is flying. I'm just sitting inside. I was tired. How much more the plane? That plane flew non-stop for so many hours. It's a door of knowledge. The Nigerian story is very, very pathetic. Our certificate does not give us access to international platforms. Why? Because our graduates who have gone to school here, they must be schooled again by the institutions they want to work in before they can be given employment. That's how bad. You know why? Today in Nigeria, I can tell you that every master's graduate student who did practicals or assignments didn't do it by himself. They pay. You don't know. Look at the way they are looking at me. You don't know, but that's what they do. They pay. Somebody else will produce the paper for them, then they will submit it. You see, we are destroying education. We are destroying our future by ourselves. In secondary school now, they give questions and answer to students to write. So we are already destroying that door of knowledge. And it is in the hand of those who run our institution. It's not in my hand. It's in their hand. They know themselves. Even the prophet. Somebody told me that in one private university, top-rated university in Nigeria, he went and they said, look, bring money. We will get people who will arrange all these things for you. You just come and take it. He said, I don't need to do anything. He said, don't do anything. Just bring the money. So it's very shameful. In some universities in Nigeria, to admit students to read medicine, they have to pay some millions. They have passed Jambo, they have passed Waeko, but still they will not take them in. I won't mention names, but you know some of them. So, while Nigerians who are overseas will prosper, Nigeria as a country will continue to stagnate and suffer. They will carry Nigerians from here, they will bring them overseas, and they will train them again. And when they train them, they will now use them. And when you go, except for people like me, you cannot come back. You can't come back. Because in 1 year, you are going to pay like $90,000 to finish 1 year. One semester you are paying so much. Those who are reading medicine, $65,000 to $90,000. Tuition and accommodation and feeding. Those who are reading all these art courses, they are paying from $25,000. So if you pay like that, I went to school and I spent 7 years If you pay the kind of money I pay, you won't come back there. You won't come back to Nigeria. What will you come and do? Because how much money will you get in Nigeria to pay back? But God was gracious to me. Hallelujah. So our secondary school, our universities, if I give you a sheet of paper now, all of you, and I ask you to write a letter of application, we will laugh tire in this place. Professor Momo, that's what the assignment I want you to give. I see them writing name and so on. Share piece of paper. Hello, ushers, can we get sheets of paper? We will give them. Let them write a letter of application. You will see what you have produced. You are the one who. So look at the failure rate in the law school. Look at the way people are failing. JAMB, the failure rate is so high. Why? Because our professors, those who run the school, allow us. They take our education from us at the expense of money. And so we are down. That's why we are not eating healthy anymore. Yes, because our students, they learn all these food things and then they cook it for their husband and feed their husband with malnourished food without nutrient. And so people are dying faster. Our fathers didn't die like that. Our mothers, we use iru, dawa, to cook soup, and you will be smelling it for far distance. Now we are using Maggi and so on and so on. You will see egusi on one side, you will see pamoye set on one side, water on one side. You have to use your finger to mix all of them. That is what our institution has given to us. In my conclusion, if we don't change, we are going to be killing ourselves gradually. Our doctors and nurses today in Nigeria, hey, I will not tell you a story. The kind of damage they have caused. Yes. Somebody called me from America because their relation just died and they were interviewing the doctor from America. Another doctor in America was asking questions. The doctor in Nigeria could not answer. Hello, did you check this? He said, what are you talking about? Hello, can you tell me what this is? I can help you. Let's work together as professionals. He couldn't say anything. That patient died though. He said, God help you. If it's in America, you will go to jail. They will seize your license. A doctor told me that until his mother died, he never felt pain that others feel. He said when people die, it's normal. It's normal. But the day his mother died, he broke down. He said, so this is what people feel. He told me, he said, I will not practice medicine anymore because I was taught wrongly. They told me to practice medicine to recover all the money that I gave those doctors. Okay, conclusion. Kudos to the Minister of Education in Nigeria. Under Tinubu, they have announced that honorary doctorate degrees and honorary degrees should no longer be used on professional and educational circles anymore in Nigeria. One ignorant man in Abuja, he came to me. He said, Apostle Martins, you went to university in America for 7 years to get doctor. See me, I'm sitting in my house. I just gave them 5 million naira. They brought doctor to my house. One uneducated man. They have encouraged him now to boast. So I asked him, I said, doctor in what? He said, it's honorary. Honorary in what? He said, I didn't ask them. The number of books that you read in one semester is more than the number of books that you read in Nigeria in 1 year as a student. So you can compare so their education is not in our level. If we don't stop, we are killing our future and the tide of creation that God has instructed. We will continue to die from within. We will also continue to be slave to others. Noah has prophesied in Genesis chapter 9 verse 25. He pronounced a curse on the son of Ham. He told him, he said, you will be a servant of servants. That is the situation of Nigeria today. We will be and continue to be servants of servants if we don't change this educational drive. We have to turn it around and a lift will happen. Nigeria education is low, so our economy and life can only travel in that direction. In Niger Republic, their exchange rate has not changed since last year. In Nigeria, our exchange rate, you can't talk about it. The ball is in your court, it's in my court. We have to decide and say things must change. My son was promoted so many times in school. I said, stop promoting this boy. Let him go through the... he's very intelligent. I said, thank you. Let him go through that class. There is a purpose for that class. No matter how intelligent you are, if you jump class, some knowledge you will need them in the future, but you left it behind, uncovered. May God use what Professor has presented to us today and what I have added to support it, to provoke all of us to say the direction of our education. To get driver's license in London, you know how much it costs? Driver's license. To get driver's license in Germany, you pay so much money. Here, what does it cost to get driver's license? So you have people who are not trained, who are driving. They are causing accidents every day and people are dying. And that's how it will continue. The stories will be getting worse because our education is going low, so our life must follow that direction. If we want our life to go up, we have to change the direction of our education. Thank you.
All right, Professor Momo, let's take some few questions. We have just few minutes. Media, please, a microphone for him immediately. Thank you.
So please, we've heard from two speakers, Dr. Mrs. Matawa and our Apostle of Zion, Dr. Martin Satada. We are grateful, sir. Mommy, thank you so much. So please, we take the questions all together. Okay?
Praise the Lord. Sir, you talk about what Apostle said really taught me and our first speaker about how the educational system is going down and is affecting our lives. So, sir, what do you do now? I teach it in a primary school, so at the very grassroots level. And we're to have, let me give an example, not mentioned in the school. Just common entrance. That means to have a child to go to JSS1. And you are asked to solve all the questions. Just enter. 1 is A, 2 B, 3 C. So I read this thing now. I was part of the people doing it and taking the numbers. I was in the class. So read this passage to these children. They can let them think, but as we are not even allowing the children to think at all. So what do we do? Since you are not the one in charge particularly.
Yes, next question. Next question. Any other? Give me only one question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. It's a shame. Sorry to say that it's a shame.
For me,
I wish our ministers of education are here, or commissioner of education are here. I don't know how to walk out through this place. This little information we got now, I put my eye. First and foremost, skills mismatching is a problem. Let me take you back to 2007. Immediately I graduated, I served. We went for an interview, road safety then. Dignity was there, the high table, interviewing us. They asked us 4 questions, I answered 3. The man said, go to the other side. Someone came, he said he knows everything. They asked him a just simple question he could not be able to answer. To our greatest surprise, when the list came out, our names were not there. Listen, sister, see what is funny? Now, when they announced, okay, they now posted them. He said he cannot leave this zone. Why? It's a problem. Because if you remember this NYC of 18, it's a good to integrate, to know the culture. That is why they set up those things. But the vision and the mission, it has died down. Now, the reality about education, how are we going to face it? Now, if you see about the Bible, what they preach there, the sermon, no? And reflect back to what is happening in education, may God have mercy on us. Now, what is the way forward? Some of our colleagues, engineering, they are in the bank. They're supposed not to be there. I have friends there. Some of our doctors, according to our second speaker said, I have 2 friends in the US. Doctor, what he said, and it is true. But now, what can we do? The 2 speakers, please, help us. Thank you.
The third question.
Good evening, everybody. My question is, when God created Adam and Eve, he placed them in the Garden of Eden. And God asked him to take care of the Garden of Eden. And he got the knowledge by instruction from his God. Now, why going to school? Why don't man wait for instruction from his God?
Let's take any other question. Okay.
Everybody, my question is to the first speaker. So she mentioned the issue of students memorizing instead of trying to learn and understand. So we come from a system that from secondary school to university, you see lecturers and teachers telling you you should give them what they teach you in a way. So from in my university days, we had lecturers that they will ask you a question and it's most times it's fill in the blanks. So he discovered that those fill in the blanks, those questions, the blanks, are words that were removed from the notebook. So if you didn't read the book or the material word for word, verbatim, you cannot be able to answer such questions. So for me, I feel it's a system issue, because whilst there are some other lecturers also that they give you questions that you have to crack your brain and it tests your understanding. So in a situation where there are teachers that don't want you to go out of context, talking about what they gave you, and they just want you to give them what they taught or what is in the note. So how will a student address that issue? That's my own question. Thank you.
Thank you. The last one, please.
I think we have to stop on the question so they can answer. It ceased already. Thank you,
No,
sir.
you can still take one more. Because the first 2-3 questions are almost why. What do we do about cheating? That's the first 3 questions. So, and the 2 speakers will talk on that. So, any other question? Okay. Well, I'll give the microphone to the...
Excuse me, sir. We may not be able to take any question because of time. Let's take those 4.
You said there's one person. Who is that? Who is the person? Uh-huh. Give microphone. Give me microphone. The last one.
Thank you, sir. Sir, my question is the profession teaching and how the work, teachers are the one that shapes life. They are the one that train doctors, train lawyers. And in Nigeria, the system is no longer rewarding the effort of teachers. They are even adding more burden. Of recent now, they made it compulsory that every teacher must have TRCN certificate, must be licensed. And when you compare all this with the reward system, the rewarding system for teachers, it's not encouraging. They are not, the salaries and the incentive and all of that are not encouraging. So what is the way forward? Praise God.
Thank you very much. Okay, so basically we have 3 questions. 1, 2, 3, talk about why so much cheating in examination. Why are teachers encouraging cheating in the class? Why do they tell students the answers? Then the other question is, you said memorizing is not very good. That now is skill. Want to know about skill. That's what the question is about. Am I right? Okay, good. So what do we do? And the final one is what you have just said. So, Mommy, we start with you.
Praise the Lord. Let me attempt. I will leave all the why for Daddy. Yes, but I will attempt his own question that talk about memorization. In the course of the discussion, I made mention that just like the topic suggests, that there are phases in education. The memorization phase is the phase that we have left. If you come to the 21st century classroom now, memorization is no longer encouraged. Memorization is encouraged in that situation where we have a teacher-centered classroom environment, where all the students do is that they are like passive learners. They listen to everything the teacher says. They memorize everything the teacher says, so that when it's time for exam, they give the teacher back what the teacher have taught in the class. But gone are those days. We are not in that era now. We are in a student-centered learning environment where the students are allowed to acquire knowledge themselves. Teachers are supposed to just be facilitators in the classroom. Explain to the students or the pupils what they need to do. Let them get the knowledge themselves. Now, anything you are able to get themselves, you don't depend on the teacher to be able to give back. You give back measurably the level you have understood while you are doing those things yourselves. So with that, we don't see memorization. We are in the 21st century and we encourage collaborative learning. We encourage this 21st century skill, problem solving, critical thinking. Is when you allow students to do things themselves that those skills are being able to develop. And once a student is able to develop such skills, the student will answer you measurably on the level of his understanding, not what the teacher says in class. And that automatically discourages memorization. And you will discover that students are no longer memorizing, but they are giving back what they understood while they learn on their own. So that is it. In this present dispensation, that's not what we're facing. If you see teachers that are still on that, are those teachers that are refusing to move with the trend. I mentioned that there are teachers that are still not receptive of technology. They feel technology have come to replace them, and it has not come to replace anyone. It only came to support. And those teachers that are still encouraging memorization are those teachers that are refusing to move with what is happening presently. But any teacher now that is moving with what is happening presently will not encourage memorization anymore in the classroom. And with the second one that talks about teacher, it's not everyone that is teaching that is a professional teacher. There are a lot of people that find themselves in the teaching profession because they could not find any other thing to do. In fact, you ask someone that is teaching, what is your job? You say, let me say it, Bani Aiki, I'm not working yet. Because as far as he's concerned, that teaching he's teaching is not even a job. He's only doing that so that he will not have to depend on people to collect data money, to collect transport fare, to collect money to buy soap, to wash his clothes. So he's just holding that as pending on when I get a job. So it's not every teacher that you see in the classroom that is actually a professional teacher. There are teachers that are professional teachers, that are qualified teachers, that when you see them teach with a difference. All those qualities of a teacher that have been mentioned, they are caregivers, they are mind builders, they are character molders, they are teachers. But there are people that are only there because they don't have any other thing to do. So this differentiates what is happening there, and you discover that people are not actually doing what they need to do in the classroom because they are not qualified or professional teachers. So I think I have attempted, but I will leave the why, all the why for Daddy to answer.
Thank you. Okay. Well, if you are in town, we are going to be explaining responses to the why throughout this week. So what I will encourage you is, if you want that answer, attend the sessions. You will hear the messages that will show you the why. That's my primary response. Secondary response is that we have honored, when you honor iniquity, when you honor the wrong thing, when you give value to what is not correct, your life goes in that direction. The Bible says the soul that sinneth, it dies. So we are dying because we sinned. The only way to go is, if we don't want to die anymore, we should retrace our steps again. If we retrace our steps, that's the decision all of us can make together. All of us. I went to the school and told the teacher, don't promote my child. Leave my child in the class. I'm not looking for promotion. I went to a Christian school, and the principal, my son is going to do WAEC. He said, do you want your child to go through the WAEC exam, or you want Miracle Center? I say, I don't understand. Miracle, I want miracle. He said, okay, your money will be 3 times the money you are paying. I said, no. If I want miracle, the money should not be higher. It should come down. Because it's God that will work the miracle. He said, no, this miracle is worked by us. We are the ones who will organize the thing. That is a Christian school. The founder of that school is a preacher, is in heaven. I imagine he was crying when he heard the principal of the school sell his school to me as a miracle center. So that's the thing that has happened to us. And then to my brother, so God taught Adam. Adam taught the next generation, and it continues like that. he came to Moses. God taught Moses. And what God taught Moses, Moses taught all generations and now, the person who created said, let's take an example, the White brothers, for example. They said to themselves, why can't we fly like the birds? Or you check Michael Faraday. That's why most of those people who invented air conditioning, sound system, are people of God. They are believers. They are people who got inspiration. They will tell you that it was inspiration. It was through inspiration that even me myself, if you go to government secondary school, Fada Nkaje in Kaduna State, I created a chemical reaction when I was going to school, 1981. How many years ago was that? 45 years ago. It was inspiration. They just say they were thinking this and this and this and then they test it and it works. Who gave them that instruction?
God.
It was God. So ultimately, anything that is new will come from God. But whatever is old, me and Kuka, me and Kuka is not coming from God. It's coming from my grandmother. It's not the me and Kuka you are eating in this place. Oh. This one is not healthy. If my mother cook me and Kuka for you, you will come back tomorrow. Is that okay? Without Maggi inside. No Maggi. Do they know me and Kuka? How many of you know me and Kuka?
Thank you very much, sir. As beautiful as the class is going, we need to stop because we have taken like 2 sections of another time. Thank you for your question. Dr. Mrs. Matazu, please let's put our hands together for her. Thank you very much. And then our father too, thank you so very much. We needed to stop. When I was telling Professor Momo he was enjoying the class that time, I had to come forward. This section is over. We have just 5 minutes for prayers. The women will take the prayer, 5 minutes, and then after that, the praise worship will come. You can remain seated in your position. The first row here is for the choir. You can move to the second row, and the ushers will help us with that. Women, 5 minutes you have. Please come for your prayer. You have just 5 minutes. You should be coming down for your prayers. Once it is 5:20, the praise worship will be on. Do we have the women? 5 minutes, pick the mic, and then come for your prayers.